You sit down. You want to work. You try to concentrate. But your brain, it's not in the room. Your body's there. Your hands are ready. Maybe your notebook is open or the screen's lit up. But your mind, it's somewhere else. It's scrolling through thoughts, like an endless feed. It's checking out, wandering, replaying conversations, making to-do lists you didn't ask for. You open the app, then another. You check your messages. You check the clock, then check the clock again. 10 minutes gone. You haven't started. And it feels like you're already behind. You shake your head and try again. Maybe now you'll lock in. Maybe now you'll push through. But no, you're staring at the screen, blank, tired, frustrated. Your mind races, but it's not running in the right direction. It's running in circles. You feel angry at yourself because you want to do the work. You care. You really care. You want to move forward. You want to build something, make something, achieve something. You know what needs to be done. It's right there in front of you. And yet, your brain keeps drifting. And then comes the guilt, that heavy sinking feeling. The inner voice whispers, you should have started by now. It tells you you're wasting time again. It calls you lazy. It tells you you're not serious enough, that you're falling behind. But let's stop that voice right there. Because here's the truth. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not unmotivated. You're human. You're living in a world built to steal your attention. A world designed to keep you distracted, addicted, overstimulated, and drained. The apps you use, the notifications that pop up, the endless noise. It's all crafted to pull you away from the thing that matters most, your focus. And so, you sit there, wanting to work, wanting to finish something, wanting to feel proud. But it feels like you're fighting against gravity. Because you are. You're fighting against a system built on noise, a system that rewards reaction instead of intention, that praises speed instead of depth. And you're trying to sit still in the middle of that storm, to concentrate, to grow, to change. No wonder it feels hard. But here's what you need to hear. The fact that you care about your lack of focus. That means you're already different. That means you're still in the fight. You haven't given up. And maybe that's the most powerful place to begin. See, focus isn't about sitting perfectly still. It's not about zoning in for hours without moving. Focus is a process, a practice, a skill. And like any skill, it takes time to build. It takes patience. It takes grace. But most importantly, it takes awareness. And you have that now. You're aware that your mind is drifting, that you're not locked in, that something is off. And that awareness, that's your starting line. You don't have to jump from scattered to laser-focused overnight. You don't need to be a machine. You just need to return. Again and again. You need to be willing to fight for your focus. Even when it slips, even when it drifts, even when it disappears for hours and you feel like giving up. Because every time you notice and gently bring it back, that's strength, that's discipline, that's training. And it will build, bit by bit, minute by minute. So take a breath. This moment right here, where you're reading this, thinking about this, that's the beginning of change. That's the first rep in the mental gym. That's you saying, I'm not okay with staying stuck. It's you refusing to quit just because your mind wandered. It's you taking your power back. The frustration you feel isn't weakness. It's proof that you care, that you expect more of yourself, that you have a standard. And that standard, it matters. So here's your challenge. Don't run from this moment. Don't numb it out with more scrolling, more noise, more avoidance. Sit with it. Feel the discomfort. Acknowledge the fog. Then start anyway. Even if it's messy. Even if it's slow. Even if it doesn't feel perfect. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is movement. The goal is choosing to return. Again and again and again. That's how focus is built. That's how momentum is created. That's how dreams are turned into real, lived success. So next time your brain drifts, smile. Because now you know what to do. You bring it back. You keep showing up. You keep choosing presence over pressure, effort over ease, action over excuses. You're not falling behind. You're rising, one moment of focus at a time. Absolutely. This isn't about ability. It's not about intelligence. It's not even about how much you want it. This is about control. The world is loud. Distractions scream at you from every direction. Your phone lights up. Your thoughts spiral. And in the middle of all that noise, you're trying to fight for your future with a mind that won't stay still. That's not weakness. That's reality. You're not lacking drive. You're not lacking purpose. You're just trying to build something meaningful in a system designed to keep you unfocused. Every scroll, every ping, every buzz, it pulls you. Not because you're weak, but because the game is rigged. And still, you try. Still, you show up. Still, you sit down and say, let me focus. Let me do this. That effort matters. Because let's be honest, this isn't a matter of laziness. If it were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't care. You wouldn't be fighting this internal battle. But you are. That means something. It means you're not numb. It means you're not okay with just coasting. It means there's something inside you that's still reaching for better. And yeah, maybe it's messy. Maybe your progress isn't linear. Maybe some days feel like quicksand and some like wind at your back. But either way, you're still here, still trying, still learning how to take your power back. Because control isn't something you magically get. It's something you build. It's not gifted. It's trained. And like anything worth building, it comes with resistance. That resistance is part of the process. It's the voice that says, why bother? The urge to open another tab. The temptation to quit 5 minutes in. But you know better now. You know that those moments, those tiny turning points, are where control is earned. Not when things are easy, not when motivation is high, but when it's hard, when your mind wants to run. That's where the shift happens. Because here's the truth, no one talks about enough. Focus isn't a switch, it's a choice. A constant, quiet choice to return, to come back to the task, to show up for the moment, to keep going even if your head feels cloudy. That choice, it's everything. You won't always get it right. You're not supposed to. Perfection was never the goal. The goal is progress. The goal is to show up again and again, even when your brain resists, even when the dopamine is louder than the discipline, even when it would be easier to escape. Because every time you return, every time you pause the chaos and say, no, I'm here now, you grow. You strengthen that focus muscle. You rewire something inside. You take back a piece of yourself that the world tried to scatter. And that's no small thing. That's massive. That's you becoming someone new, not overnight, but over time. Quietly, steadily, intentionally. See, you don't need more motivation. You don't need to wait for the perfect mood. You don't need to feel ready. You need to decide. You need to say, this matters, and I'm willing to fight for it. Because what you're fighting for isn't just a task. It's a life, a future, a version of you who can trust yourself, a version of you who doesn't flinch when things get hard, who shows up even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one else sees the effort. That version of you, it's already forming, right now, in the frustration, in the distraction, in the choice to come back anyway. So next time your focus slips, don't beat yourself up. Don't spiral. Don't shut down. Just notice and return. You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to get back to it. And the more you do, the easier it becomes. Because control isn't about dominating every second of your life. It's about owning 1 second at a time, one breath, one moment, one choice. That's the path. That's the practice. And if you can keep choosing it, even imperfectly, you're already winning. So stop waiting for the perfect headspace. Stop telling yourself you're broken. You're not broken. You're being tested. And every time you return, you pass that test. So take a breath. Close the extra tabs. Silence the noise. And begin. Not because it's easy. Not because you feel like it. But because you said you would. That's how you build momentum. That's how you shift identity. That's how you move from chaos to clarity. Bit by bit. Minute by minute. Choice by choice. Because you don't need to feel ready to take control. You just need to begin. And when your brain drifts again, and it will, smile. Because now you know the way back. Now you know the truth. You're not lazy. You're not lost. You're in training. And every time you return, you get stronger. Absolutely. You start strong in the morning, full of hope. You wake up thinking, this is the day I turn it around. You've got the to-do list ready. The coffee hits just right. You sit down with real intentions. And for a little while, it works. You check a few boxes. You feel productive, motivated even. But then, life starts creeping in. A notification, a random memory, an urge to scroll, a bit of doubt, a little overwhelm. You tell yourself, I'll just check this one thing. And suddenly it's noon. You're scattered. You're tired. And you're wondering where the time went. The list is still full. Your energy is low. And you're left sitting there with a weight on your chest and a question in your head. What's wrong with me? And then comes the lie. The one you tell yourself every time. Tomorrow I'll do better. But then tomorrow comes, and it's the same thing. Again and again. The cycle tightens, the guilt grows, the shame whispers louder. But let's break that. Right here, right now. Because this isn't a you problem. This is a pattern. And patterns can be broken. See, the issue isn't that you're incapable. It's not that you don't care. It's not even that you're unmotivated. It's that you've been trying to win a battle without knowing what you're really up against. You're fighting distraction with nothing but willpower. You're fighting burnout with caffeine and guilt. You're trying to build discipline in an environment that constantly chips away at it. And that's not weakness. That's misalignment. But here's the good news. What's misaligned can be realigned. What's on repeat can be rewritten. And it starts, not with some giant life overhaul, but with a pause, a moment, a breath, an honest look at how you're living. Because the truth is, habits don't change by accident. Focus doesn't just happen. And motivation, it's not magic, it's momentum. So how do we get that momentum back? By starting small, on purpose, with grace. You don't need to conquer the whole day. You just need to win the next moment. You don't need to crush every task. You just need to choose one. Because action is what resets the loop. Clarity is born in movement, not in waiting for the perfect mood to arrive. So the next time you catch yourself drifting, don't panic. Don't spiral. Just stop. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now to move forward? Not 5 things, not the entire list, just one. And when you do it, even if it's tiny, celebrate that. Own that. That's the first crack in the cycle. Because what you're really doing isn't just checking a box. You're reclaiming your self-trust. You're reminding your brain, I do what I say I'm going to do. And every time you keep that promise to yourself, even in the smallest ways, you build something. Call it momentum. Call it self-respect. Call it power. Whatever the name, it's yours now. And yeah, some days it'll still fall apart. Some days you'll get halfway through and feel like quitting. That's okay. What matters is that you keep returning to your focus, returning to your intention, returning to you. Because discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to start over, willing to show up without motivation, willing to sit in the discomfort instead of running from it. That's where strength is born. Not in the highlight reel, but in the messy middle, in the part where no one's watching, and you still choose to keep going. That's where the real change lives. So let's make this clear. You don't need more pressure. You need more presence. You don't need another productivity hack. You need a moment of honesty with yourself, a moment where you stop waiting for some version of yourself to magically appear, and instead say, I'll build it right here, from this moment, not tomorrow, not next week, now, because every time you say tomorrow, you give away your power. You make your progress conditional. But when you say, I'll try today, imperfectly, but honestly, you take that power back, and you're allowed to do it messy. You're allowed to do it tired. You're allowed to do it without knowing the full plan. Just begin. And if you fall off, begin again. Because progress isn't built on clean streaks. It's built on returns, on showing up after the slip, on choosing not to let one off day turn into a lost week. And the more you do it, the more you return, the more you rewrite the pattern, until one day, you're not just surviving the day anymore. You're shaping it. You're not just reacting, you're directing. That's when everything shifts. So next time the cycle starts whispering its familiar lie, tomorrow, next time, later, interrupt it. Say, no, today. Say it quietly. Say it scared. Say it uncertain. Just say it. And then do one thing to back it up. Because you're not a failure. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're in the middle of becoming. And this moment, this breath, dash, this next action, it's where that becoming begins. Because focus is not just a skill. It's a decision to shut the door, to choose one thing, to keep your eyes on that thing, even when everything around you is screaming for your attention. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present, because presence is what anchors you, not flawless execution, not hours of deep work, not superhuman willpower, just presence, right here, right now. Focus starts when you say, this is what I'm doing, and then you do it, not forever, just for now. Because that's all focus really is, choosing the now over the noise, choosing this task over the 10 others waiting in line, choosing depth over distraction. And let's be honest, that choice, it's hard, not because you're weak, but because you're surrounded by a world that profits from your attention span being fractured. Every beep, every badge, every just one more scroll. It's designed to pull you out of the moment, to train your brain to crave novelty, to turn stillness into discomfort. But you're here to take that power back, because the truth is, focus isn't found, it's created, moment by moment, choice by choice. You build it. And it doesn't matter if your focus drifts. It will. You're human. What matters is that you return, again and again. That's the real work. That's the quiet strength. The ability to notice when your mind wanders and to gently bring it back. No shame, no panic, just return. Because every time you return, you teach yourself something. You teach yourself that you are in control. You teach yourself that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. And that intention, that's where the transformation starts. You don't change your life by being flawless. You change it by being aware, by being willing, by showing up when it would be easier to give in. So if today feels scattered, if your mind is foggy and your heart is tired, that's okay. You don't need to fix it all at once. You just need to choose the next right thing. That email, that workout, that chapter, that one quiet task you've been avoiding. Choose it and stay with it. Let the rest fall away, even if just for 5 minutes. Let the world spin while you stay still, while you hold your ground and claim this small moment of clarity. Because when you do, you reclaim something bigger than productivity. You reclaim self-trust. You remind yourself, I can do hard things. I can be here. I can stay. And you can. No matter how noisy life gets, no matter how many times you've drifted, no matter how far behind you feel, you can choose to come back right now. Because focus is not about locking in and never blinking. It's about noticing when you've left and choosing to return. That's where the power is. That's where the growth happens, in the returning, again and again and again. That repetition, it rewires everything. Your brain, your confidence, your relationship with discipline. Every time you return to the moment, you strengthen that mental muscle, and it gets easier. Not effortless, but easier. Until one day, you realize you didn't just get focused, you became someone who chooses focus. And that identity, that's unshakable. It's not built in the highlight reels. It's built in the small, quiet wins. The times you resisted the scroll. The moments you stayed with the task. The days you gave yourself grace and still kept going. That's the difference maker. Not intensity, not perfection, but consistency. And consistency lives in the daily return. So if you've been feeling scattered lately, if you've been questioning your focus, your drive, your direction, let this be your reminder. You're not broken. You're being tested. And every test is an invitation to choose presence, to choose clarity, to choose you. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because that choice, that's your power. Not the results, not the output. The choice to be here, to try again, to take one step. So take it. Turn down the volume. Put your phone face down. Breathe and start. No drama, no perfection, just presence. Because this moment, this simple, quiet decision to begin, this is where focus is forged. Not in doing everything, but in doing one thing. So what's your one thing? Pick it, claim it, and return to it every time the noise tries to pull you away. Not because it's easy, but because you've decided it matters. Because deep down, you know, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. And that's enough to change everything. Imagine this. Your attention is a flashlight. Wherever you shine it, that's what grows. That's what you give life to. But most people, they leave it flickering. 1 second it's on the task. The next, it's on a notification. Then a memory. Then a fear. Then a message. Then a new tab. A new idea. A new distraction. Until the light isn't focused on anything long enough to matter. Just scattered beams on everything and nothing all at once. And at the end of the day, you're left wondering, why do I feel so drained when I barely got anything done? That's not because you didn't try. It's because your light, your attention, wasn't steady. It kept jumping. And with it, your energy did too. Now imagine this. What if you picked one thing, just one, and pointed that light at it? You locked in. You ignored the noise. You stayed. And you didn't move the light until the job was done. That's not just focus. That's power. Because when your attention becomes intentional, your actions become unstoppable. You go from reactive to deliberate, from scattered to steady. And in a world that is constantly trying to hijack your focus, that level of control, it's rare, it's valuable, it's dangerous in the best way. See, attention is your most precious currency, and every moment, something is trying to spend it for you. Apps, advertisements, algorithms. They want your flashlight. They want to steal your light and shine it on their priorities, not yours. But when you take that flashlight back, when you say, no, this is where I'm aiming, everything changes. Because focus is not just a productivity tool. It's a declaration, a line in the sand. It says, I know what matters, and I will not be moved. That's how goals are reached. That's how visions become real. Not through scattered effort, but sustained direction. And yes, it's hard. It's uncomfortable. Because our brains have been trained to crave the next thing. To chase dopamine, to chase novelty, to bounce. But power isn't in the bounce. It's in the stay. In the staying with the hard thing. In the staying with the boring thing. In the staying with the thing that matters, even when everything else tries to convince you otherwise. That's the skill most people never build. Not because they can't, but because they never slow down long enough to try. But not you. You're here because you want to be different. Because you've felt the cost of distraction. because you've lived through the frustration of knowing you could do more, be more, if only you could stay with it. And now, you're done with that old pattern. So let's flip the switch. Let's stop letting the flashlight flicker. Let's point it, hold it, keep it steady. That might mean saying no. It might mean setting boundaries. It might mean logging out, turning off, stepping away from the noise. But that's the price of clarity. That's the cost of progress. And every time you pay it, you're investing in yourself. Because here's the truth. You can't build anything meaningful with a scattered beam. You build by choosing one thing and shining with full force until it's done. And then you move to the next. Not multitasking, not switching, just stacking wins. One focused action at a time. That's how momentum is built. That's how confidence is restored. That's how you move from chaos to control. But let's be clear. Focus doesn't mean locking in for 8 hours straight with zero distractions. That's not sustainable. That's not the point. Focus means choosing what deserves your light right now and giving it your full presence, even if only for 10 minutes. Even if your mind tries to pull away every 60 seconds. Because every time you bring it back, that's training. That's power. That's you reclaiming your attention from a world that never earned it in the first place. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, like there's too much to do and not enough time, don't try to do everything. Don't try to light up the whole room. Just choose one corner, one task, one moment, and shine your flashlight there. Let the rest go dim. Because the truth is, clarity isn't found by lighting up everything. It's found by committing to something. And the more you practice that, the more natural it becomes. You'll start to feel it. The strength in your stillness, the confidence in your calm, the quiet momentum of a focused mind. That's the version of you you've been chasing. Not the frantic one, not the burned out one, the centered one, the steady one, the one who moves with intention, not reaction. That version, it lives in every focused rep, every choice to return to the task, every moment you say, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, and I will finish it. That's your edge. That's your light. So protect it, sharpen it, use it. Because you don't need more time. You need more direction, more presence, more intention. The flashlight's already in your hands. Now point it, and don't let go. The problem isn't that your mind wanders. The problem is that no one taught you how to bring it back. You were taught how to memorize. You were taught how to multitask. You were taught how to chase deadlines and check boxes. But you were never really taught how to focus. No one showed you how to stay when your brain wants to flee. No one told you that the drifting is normal. That the noise in your head doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And it means you need to train. Because here's the truth. Focus is like a muscle. And right now, that muscle might be weak. But weakness isn't a curse. It's a signal. A signal that something in you is ready to grow. A sign that it's time to stop beating yourself up. And start building yourself up instead. You don't need shame. You need strategy. You need awareness. You need practice. Because no one gets stronger by accident. No one stumbles into clarity. No one wakes up one day magically disciplined and dialed in. It's built, repped out, one hard moment at a time. Not once, not sometimes. Every single day. That's the game. And yeah, it's boring. It's quiet. It doesn't look like much from the outside. No applause, no finish line. Just you, choosing to return to the task over and over and over again. But in that repetition, something shifts, something grows. Because every time you notice your mind wandering and choose to pull it back, that's a rep, that's strength. That's the exact moment when the muscle is being trained. And it might feel small, it might feel pointless, but it's not. It's everything. It's where the progress lives. Not in the hours you sit down, but in the seconds you return. Again, and again, and again. So if you've been feeling frustrated with yourself, if your mind drifts during work, while reading, while writing, while trying to just be still, that's okay. You don't need to panic. You don't need to fix everything all at once. You just need to start training the muscle. Start small. Start messy. Start where you are. Maybe that means 5 focused minutes today. Maybe that means turning off notifications and closing 1 extra tab. Maybe it just means noticing when your brain drifts and instead of judging it, gently bringing it back. That's the skill. That's the work. That's the path forward. Because you're not lazy. You're untrained. And there's a world of difference between the two. Lazy says, I can't. Untrained says, I haven't learned how yet. And yet changes everything. Yet keeps the door open. Yet gives you permission to grow. So grow. Slowly. Intentionally. Consistently. Don't fall for the myth that focus means locking in for hours like a machine. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. And presence is something you return to, not something you live in all day. You can fall off and still be winning. You can drift and still come back stronger. You can mess it up and still be moving forward. Because training isn't linear. It's jagged. It's frustrating. It's full of stumbles and second chances. But every time you give yourself that second chance, you reinforce the habit. You reinforce the belief, I am someone who comes back. I am someone who can focus. I am someone who is learning how. That identity, that's where the real power lives. Because once you believe, you can focus. Once you believe you're in control, everything else opens up. You stop being reactive. You stop being overwhelmed. You stop chasing 10 things at once and start moving with intention. And intention? That's the difference between chaos and clarity. That's how you build momentum. Not by doing everything at once, but by doing the right thing long enough for it to matter. And you already know what that thing is. It's not a secret. It's not out there. It's already waiting for you, right in front of you. But it's going to take effort. Not dramatic, overnight effort, but quiet, invisible, daily effort. That's the kind of effort that builds focus like a muscle. That's the kind of effort no one sees until the results speak for themselves. So stop looking for shortcuts. Stop blaming yourself for drifting. And stop waiting to feel ready. Start now, exactly as you are. 5 minutes, 1 breath, 1 small return. And when your mind wanders again, because it will, smile, then bring it back. That's the representative. That's the magic. That's the moment of growth. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are in training. And every time you choose to come back, you get stronger. So keep coming back. Keep showing up. Keep building the muscle, 1 rep at a time. Your focus isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to pick up the weight again, to do the work, to keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. When you feel distracted, that's not failure. That's your cue to come back. It's a signal, a small nudge that says, hey, you've drifted, but you can return. Over and over and over again. Because that's what focus really is. It's not locking in once and never losing it. It's the decision to return every time your mind strays, to notice the drift and gently bring it back. No drama, no self-blame, just a quiet reset. Each time you stop scrolling and return to your task, you grow stronger. Each time you pause the noise and sit in the silence, you sharpen your edge. Not in some grand, visible way, but internally. You're building something, and you won't always feel it in the moment. In fact, most of the time, it'll feel awkward, clunky, uncomfortable, because stillness is not what your brain's been trained for. It's been trained for quick fixes, for fast swipes, for the next new thing. But none of that builds your future. Discipline does. Consistency does. Belief in yourself, even on your worst days, does. And let's be honest, discipline doesn't feel good at first. It feels like resistance. It feels like trying to run through mud. It feels like everything in you is pulling away from the one thing you know you need to do. But here's the trick. That feeling, that friction, that's where growth lives. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when they're not. You grow when you stay in the moment instead of escaping it. When you stay with the work. When you choose silence over stimulation, depth over dopamine. That choice, that uncomfortable, quiet choice, is how strength is built. And no, it won't feel heroic. There won't be applause. There won't be a gold star. It will be just you showing up, choosing the hard thing, and doing it again tomorrow. But that's the point. That's how you become someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't just dream, but builds. Someone who doesn't just want more, but works for it. And you don't have to get it right every time. That's not the measure. The measure is, do you keep coming back? Because that's where the real progress is. In the return, in the repetition, in the quiet resilience of saying, I'm still here. You pause the scroll, you close the extra tabs, you breathe, and you return. Again, and again, and again. It doesn't matter if your focus slips. It matters that you notice it and choose not to give up. That's what builds confidence. That's what rebuilds trust in yourself. Not just big wins, but small, consistent acts of alignment. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to feel motivated every day. You just need to keep your word to yourself, even in the smallest ways. Because every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you say no to the easy path, you're casting a vote for the future you, a vote for the person you're becoming, a vote for a life that's built with intention. And over time, those votes add up. They become who you are. Not a version of you who needs willpower to survive every day, but a version of you who's trained, steady, grounded, clear. And yeah, you'll still get pulled. There will always be noise. There will always be another post, another message, another temptation to numb out. But the difference is, you'll know how to return. You'll know how to pause, how to breathe, how to refocus, because you've practiced it. You've lived it. You've turned distraction into a signal instead of a spiral. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Not talent, not luck, not even motivation, but the quiet, unshakable habit of returning to the work, to the vision, to the life you said you wanted. And here's the thing. Even on your worst days, you can still return. Even when you feel stuck. Even when you feel like a mess. Even when everything in you is screaming for escape. You can still come back. You can still do the work. You can still take the next step. And sometimes, that next step is tiny. That next step is just sitting in the discomfort for 5 more minutes. Just writing one sentence. Just resisting one urge. That still counts. Because discipline isn't about doing it all. It's about doing something. And doing it with intention. So don't chase perfection. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just return. Right now. To the thing that matters. To the task you've been avoiding. To the promise you made to yourself. This is your representative. This is your edge. This is your life. And it's being shaped in the tiny moments no one sees. And the more you practice that return, the easier it gets. Not effortless, but natural. A rhythm, a skill, a strength. Until one day, you look back and realize you don't just have focus. You are focused because you became it by showing up, by doing the hard things, by returning, even when it was easier to quit. So if you're drifting right now, this is your cue. Pause, breathe, come back. You're not failing, you're just training, and you're doing better than you think. Keep going. You're building something real. Right now, your life is made of small choices. Not the big, flashy ones that everyone sees. Not the once-in-a-lifetime moments, but the quiet ones. The ones you make every single day, often without even realizing it. And every time you choose to focus, every time you return to your task, every time you silence the noise and lock in, you cast a vote for the future you want, a vote for the person you're becoming, a vote for the life you're building, brick by brick, moment by moment. So stop saying, "I can't focus." Stop feeding that story. Stop convincing yourself that your mind is broken or that you're not cut out for discipline. Because the truth is, you're not broken. You're in training. Start saying, "I'm building focus." Say it again. Speak it like it's already true. Speak it like it's your new identity. Say it like a mantra, like a mission statement, like a promise to yourself. I train my mind. I don't run from work. I return to it. I stay in it. I grow through it. That's not just positive thinking. That's ownership. That's intention. That's how change starts. By shifting the way you speak to yourself. Because your words shape your belief. And your belief shapes your actions. And your actions shape your life. If you keep telling yourself you're distracted, you will be. If you keep telling yourself you're not focused, you won't be. But if you start telling yourself, "I am someone who returns," everything changes. Because focus isn't a gift. It's a habit. It's a decision you make again and again until it becomes second nature. And yeah, some days it's harder. Some days your brain feels like static. Some days you're tired, anxious, bored, or pulled in 100 directions. But even on those days, you still get to choose. You still get to return. Even if it's messy, even if it's slow, even if it doesn't feel like progress in the moment. Because that is progress. The return is the win, not the perfect flow state, not the 3-hour deep work session. The moment you say, "I'm going back to the thing I said I'd do." That's a representative. That's training. That's proof you're showing up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And those small wins, they stack. They shape your identity. They remind you who you are. They remind you that you're someone who follows through. That you're someone who doesn't run from resistance, but works through it. Because focus is uncomfortable at first. It's you going against everything you've been conditioned to do. Everything in the world is designed to pull your mind away. Quick fixes, endless notifications, a culture obsessed with multitasking and instant gratification. But you're choosing something different. You're choosing depth over distraction, purpose over impulse, discipline over dopamine. And that's not easy, but it's worth it, because the life you want, the dream you keep seeing in your head, it's not built on motivation. It's built on presence, on discipline, on the thousands of tiny, invisible choices you make when no one's watching. Like this one. Right now, you're reading this. You're still here. That matters. That means you care. That means you're still in the fight. That means you're willing to do the work. So keep doing it. Keep training. Keep returning. Keep speaking life into your focus. Say it when your mind wanders. I come back. Say it when you feel overwhelmed. I do one thing. Say it when you want to quit. I stay. I grow. I rise. These words aren't just motivation. They're instructions. They're blueprints. They're reminders that you are capable, even when you don't feel like it. And the more you speak it, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the more you live it. Because what you repeat becomes what you remember. And what you remember becomes who you are. So train your mind, not just to focus, but to return. To stay steady, to stay grounded, to stay committed. And when you drift, and you will, don't shame yourself. Don't spiral. Just smile, reset, and say, "This is part of the process. I'm not behind. I'm building focus." Let that be your rhythm. Let that be your mindset. Not perfection, not pressure. Presence, practice, progress. Because in the end, it's not the loudest people who win. It's not the most talented. It's the most consistent. The ones who get up one more time. The ones who return to the task one more time. The ones who speak strength into their struggle and keep going even when no one's clapping. That's who you are. So say it again. I train my mind. I don't run from work. I return to it. I stay in it. I grow through it. one moment at a time, one breath at a time, one choice at a time. You're not just building focus, you're building you. You want to know who wins? It's not just the smartest. It's not just the most talented. It's not the one with the perfect routine or the clearest schedule. The ones who win, they're the ones who stay focused when it's hard, when the world is loud, when their mind is foggy, when motivation is nowhere to be found. They still show up. That's the difference. Everyone can work when they feel good, when the energy is high, when the vibe is right, when the music is on and the coffee's kicked in. That's easy. But what about the days when nothing clicks? When your brain feels heavy, your body feels tired, and the only thing you want to do is scroll, escape, and start again tomorrow. That's the test. That's the gap between average and unstoppable, between wishful thinking and real results. Champions? They work through the fog. They sit in the discomfort. They breathe through the pressure. They keep moving when everything says stop. They don't need the perfect mood to get started. They create momentum by showing up anyway. They work through the noise, the internal noise. I'm tired. I'm behind. I don't feel like it today. And the external noise, pings, messages, distractions, people pulling them in every direction. They hear it all, but they don't let it win. They focus anyway. They work through the days that feel off, when the rhythm isn't there, when the spark feels dim, when everything takes 3 times as long. But they still finish, still follow through, still take the next step, because they understand something most people don't. Success isn't built on your best days. It's built on your hardest ones, when your mind is against you, when your emotions are heavy, when quitting feels more reasonable than continuing. That's the arena. That's the proving ground. That's what separates them. Not their brains, not their talent, not some secret formula. Their choice to keep going. Their decision to show up and work when it's uncomfortable, unclear, inconvenient. That's the real discipline. That's what turns a regular person into a champion. It's not about being in the perfect mindset. It's about being in the right mindset. The one that says, I won't let how I feel decide what I do. I won't wait for motivation. I'll act and let motivation catch up. I said I would show up, and I'm going to honor that. Because they know something else too. Your feelings are real, but they're not always reliable. And discipline is what bridges the gap between who you are now and who you want to be. So when you're tired, when you're distracted, when your mind is drifting, and your energy is low, that's not a sign to quit. That's a signal to dig in. That's the exact moment when most people fall off. And it's also the exact moment when you can separate yourself. Because if you only show up when it's easy, you'll always be waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting to feel ready. Waiting for the stars to align. But the truth is, winners don't wait. They decide. They decide to show up regardless. They decide to finish even when they're doubting themselves. They decide to build momentum, one hard day at a time. And over time, that consistency adds up. That resilience compounds. That discipline becomes identity, until it's not just what they do, it's who they are. That's the shift. That's what you're training for. To become someone who doesn't break under pressure. Someone who doesn't need to feel like it to take action. Someone who works through the fog and still gets it done. Because here's the truth. Your greatest breakthroughs won't come during your strongest moments. They'll come when you keep going, even when you feel weak. They'll come when you're in the trenches, when it's 6 a.m. and you don't want to get up. When you're staring at the screen and nothing's flowing. When you're behind schedule and everything feels like too much. But you breathe. You anchor yourself. You take the next step. That's what champions do. They don't need perfection. They just need presence. And they choose to stay present, even in the chaos. So if today feels like a mess, good. That means you've been handed a gift. The gift of a real training day. A day to build grit. A day to build character. A day to prove to yourself that you can do it, even when you don't want to. Because if you can show up today, on a day like this, you can show up any day. And that kind of consistency, that kind of self-leadership, that's rare. That's what builds winners. So here's your reminder. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel perfect. You just need to choose to stay in it, to keep going, to stay focused, to finish the thing, even when your brain is screaming for comfort. This is how you build your edge. This is how you create separation. This is how you become unstoppable, one hard day at a time. So next time you're tempted to say, not today, pause, rethink, ask yourself, what would a champion do right now? Then do that, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's slow, even if it's ugly. Because that's how you win. Not someday, not eventually, but right now, when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when no one would blame you for backing off. That's your moment. Own it. Show up. Keep going. That's the mindset that wins. One day, you'll look back at this moment, and it won't just be another Tuesday. It won't be just another day that came and went. It will be the moment something inside you shifted, the moment you chose to stop drifting, to stop letting your days be stolen by distraction, to stop letting your potential sit in the back seat. It'll be the day you decided, once and for all, that your attention isn't up for grabs anymore, because something clicked. You realized your focus is your life force, that what you give your time to, what you give your energy to, that becomes your reality. And you made the decision to take that power back. It wasn't flashy, no big announcement, no viral post, just you, sitting with yourself, facing the truth, and choosing something different, something deeper, something stronger, something more intentional. And one day, you'll remember the hard days, the ones where your brain wanted to quit, where everything in you said, just take the day off, scroll for a while, you'll do it later. The days where discipline felt like a fight, the days where doubt whispered louder than purpose, the days where the work was slow and the distractions were tempting. But you didn't fold, you didn't run, you showed up. Maybe it wasn't perfect, maybe it wasn't pretty, but you stayed with it. You opened the laptop, you picked up the pen, you hit record, you hit publish, you said yes to what mattered and no to what didn't. And that version of you, that focused, consistent, driven version of you, they didn't just survive. They built something. They built something unshakable, something real, something lasting. Because focus isn't just about getting things done. It's about becoming someone different, someone who follows through, someone who honors their word, someone who builds a life, not just a to-do list. Your focus becomes your legacy. It's what turns random effort into real impact. It's what turns scattered hours into deep transformation. It's what turns someday into now. It's not just about what you accomplish. It's about who you become in the process. The strength, the clarity, the quiet confidence of knowing I can trust myself to do hard things. That's what stays with you. That's what leaves a mark on your family, your craft, your community, your world. Because there's something magnetic about someone who is focused, someone who's not chasing every shiny object, someone who can sit in stillness while the world spins fast. That kind of presence, that kind of discipline, it's rare and it's powerful. And maybe no one ever told you this. So listen closely. You were never too scattered. You were never too broken. You were never just not the focused type. You were never too late to start. You just hadn't claimed your power yet. But now you've seen it. Now you've felt it. Now you've caught a glimpse of what's possible when your attention stops leaking and starts landing. And the best part? You haven't even scratched the surface yet. This isn't the finish line. This is the foundation. Because once you learn how to focus, how to really own your attention, everything changes. You work with intention. You rest without guilt. You stop needing to prove and just begin to build. You stop seeking permission. You stop second guessing. You stop outsourcing your energy to everything and everyone else. Because now You know what matters. Now you know how to protect it. You've trained yourself to return to the moment, to the mission, to the version of you that doesn't quit just because it's hard. And yeah, it will still be hard. There will still be days where your mind wanders, where you feel off, where you're not sure if it's working. But now, you don't panic, you don't spiral, you return. Because that's the real victory. Not staying focused perfectly, but returning to focus consistently. That's how you build something unshakable. That's how you stack momentum. That's how you keep your word to yourself over time. And that word, that trust in yourself, that's the most powerful thing you'll ever build. Because when you can trust yourself to stay present, to finish what you start, to do what you said you'd do, even when no one's watching, you become unstoppable. Not in a loud, flashy way, but in a quiet, grounded way that says, I know who I am, and I know where I'm going. That's what this is really about. Not just focus. Freedom. Freedom from distraction. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from the story that says, you're not enough, or it's too late, or you're too far behind. That story, it's a lie, and you're done living inside it. Because you're not behind. You're not late. You're right on time for the life you're meant to build. So don't stop now. Don't wait for the next big breakthrough. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait until you feel ready. You're ready now because you're willing now. Willing to show up. Willing to train your mind. Willing to protect your time like it matters, because it does. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to move mountains today. You just have to move one thing forward. One task, one block of time, one moment of undivided effort. That's the win. Because every moment of focus you create, it stacks, it compounds, it rewires you. And one day, it becomes your normal. Not a grind, not a struggle, just who you are. You become the focused one, the grounded one, the consistent one, the one people look at and say, something about them is different. And you'll smile, because you'll know it's not magic, it's not luck, it's training, it's choice, it's focus, and it started right here, with this moment. So let's keep going, let's keep training, let's keep returning, again and again and again. Not because it's easy, not because we have to, but because we get to. We get to grow, we get to create, we get to live with intention, not just react on autopilot. And if you ever forget that, come back to this. Come back to this moment. Come back to this truth. You're focused. You're building. And your future will never be the same. Let's keep going. This isn't about perfection. It never was. It's not about flawless routines, endless energy, or having all the answers figured out. It's not about waking up every day with unstoppable motivation or never missing a step. It's not about getting it right the first time or doing it better than anyone else. It's about effort. Effort when it's hard. Effort when you don't feel like it. Effort when the results haven't shown up yet, but you keep showing up anyway. Because every effort counts. Every time you silence the distractions. Every time you close the tab that's pulling you away. Every time you sit with the discomfort instead of running from it. Every single one of those moments adds up. You're not chasing a dream. You're building a mindset. And that mindset, it's the foundation for everything else. The mindset that says, I'm not here for shortcuts. I'm here for growth. The mindset that says, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be present. Because when you build a mindset like that, you stop being at the mercy of your feelings. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You stop putting off your own potential. Instead, you start moving. You start doing. You start becoming. And that's where everything shifts. Focus isn't found. It's forged. You don't stumble into it. You don't wake up with it one day like a gift. You earn it through discipline, through consistency, through the daily choice to return to what matters. Focus is like a blade. You sharpen it in the quiet moments, in the boring ones, in the hard ones, in the moments where no one sees the work, but you show up anyway, because you know that focus isn't about obsession. It's about alignment, aligning your actions with your intentions, aligning your time with your values, aligning your energy with your purpose. And here's the truth. You don't need to do everything today. You just need to do something. That one thing you've been putting off, that one task you keep avoiding because it feels uncomfortable, or slow, or uncertain. That's the one. That's your starting point. And when you do it, when you break the resistance and just begin, you create momentum. Not the kind you brag about, not the kind that gets instant praise, but the kind that builds self-trust, the kind that compounds over time and turns into results, the kind that transforms you from someone who talks about change into someone who lives it. So if this message hit home, if you're done making excuses, if you're ready to stop talking and start building, then do one thing right now. Subscribe, not just to this channel, not just to this message, but to a new standard, a new way of showing up, a new mindset that says, I am done letting distractions decide my direction. I am done waiting for permission to go all in. I am done pretending I don't know what to do, because deep down, I do. And now, I choose to do it. Because this channel, it isn't just for viewers, it's for builders. People who want more. People who are tired of the fluff, tired of the noise, tired of watching others live their purpose, while they second-guess their own. This space is for those who are ready to own their focus, to train their discipline, to get uncomfortable, to finally take the thoughts in their head and turn them into results in their life. And yes, it's going to be hard. You're going to want to quit. Your mind will try to convince you that you're not ready, not capable, not disciplined enough. Ignore it, because your focus is your power. Protect it. Guard it like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Your focus decides your habits. Your habits decide your trajectory. Your trajectory shapes your entire life. So train it. Every day, when it's easy, when it's hard, when no one's watching. Train it by choosing presence over pressure, depth over distraction, the long game over the shortcut. Don't just try to focus. Become someone who is focused, someone who moves with intention, who finishes what they start, who doesn't crumble when it gets difficult, but leans in even harder, because the world will keep getting louder. The distractions will keep evolving. But if your mind is stronger than your environment, nothing can pull you off course. And if it does, you'll know how to come back, because you've practiced it, because you've built it, because you've trained it. And that's the difference between wishing and working, between reacting and responding, between drifting and directing your own life. You're not just here to consume. You're here to grow, to lead, to evolve. So make the commitment, not to perfection, but to effort, to returning, to building the kind of mindset that doesn't quit just because it's hard, and we'll grow it together. One message at a time, one hard day at a time, one small win at a time. Because this isn't about hype, it's about habit. It's not about waiting for a breakthrough. It's about becoming the person who creates them. So subscribe, not just to a channel. Subscribe to your future self, the one who's focused, the one who follows through, the one who doesn't fold under pressure, but sharpens under it. Let's train your mind. Let's strengthen your habits. Let's build a life you're proud of. One decision at a time, one rep at a time. Because you've got what it takes. You've always had it. Now it's just time to focus it.